Hello and welcome to the channel. For those of you who missed it, the Anambra State Governor Charles Soludo's attack on the Labour Party presidential candidate Peter Obi. Let's run through the key takeaways from the former CBN governor's diatribe. Subscribe, like, share, and comment. Thank you. Key takeaways from Soludo's diatribe against Peter Obi. On Monday, Governor Charles Soludo of Anambra State raised the dust in the political space when he issued a lengthy statement in response to verbal attacks by supporters of the Labour Party LP presidential candidate Peter Obi. Mr. Obi, a former governor of Anambra State, is a major contender in the 2023 presidential election. Days before the controversial diatribe against the LP candidate, Mr. Soludo had on Thursday, while appearing as a guest on Channels TV's Politics Today, said the value of investments made by Mr. Obi while he was the governor of the state was worth next to nothing. Several people believed to be supporters of the LP candidate attacked Mr. Soludo for the comments. However, in the statement on Monday, the governor, apparently enraged by the attacks, said he stood by his words. He criticized Mr. Obi for rebuffing entreaties to return to All Progressives Grand Alliance (APGA) and pick up the party's 2023 presidential ticket. He subsequently predicted that the LP candidate would not win the 2023 election. Mr. Soludo accused Mr. Obi's supporters of bullying everyone who expresses the slightest of dissent. The LP candidate has since responded to Mr. Soludo's attacks against him. Apart from Mr. Soludo's prediction that Mr. Obi will not win the election, here are other key takeaways from the diatribe. One key point in Mr. Soludo's statement was his prediction that the All Progressives Congress APC candidate Bola Tinubu would win the 2023 general election. He was silent on the chances of Peter Umiadi, the candidate of his party APGA, in the election. He sounded angry that Mr. Obi's growing popularity would negatively affect the Southeast support for the People's Democratic Party (PDP) candidate Atiku Abubakar. Mr. Soludo appeared to have sympathy for PDP's candidate Mr. Atiku. He is apparently hoping that the PDP could reward the region's support with an Igbo ticket in subsequent elections. The governor is worried that Mr. Obi's popularity would not secure him victory, but would only waste the Southeast chance of taking a shot at the presidency. He believes Mr. Obi's candidacy is distracting Southeast from supporting PDP and that it would cut away votes that could go to Mr. Atiku and therefore will pave the way for Mr. Tinubu to win the election. Although Mr. Obi is not the only presidential candidate from the Southeast, he has become the target of attacks lately from supporters and candidates of opposition political parties. His reputation for frugality and prudent management of state resources appear to have attracted a horde of supporters for the former governor ahead of the 2023 presidential election. Mr. Obi's opponents are disturbed that the LP candidate's growing popularity could be a big threat to their victory in the 2023 polls. He has arguably become the much talked about presidential candidate in Nigeria today. Mr. Soludo did not hide his frustration with Mr. Obi's refusal to return to the APGA to fly the party's flag for the 2023 presidential election. He said Mr. Obi left APGA despite swearing to the late Biafra warlord Odumegwu Ojukwu that he will not leave the party. The governor claimed the LP candidate also told Igbos that APGA was the vehicle to actualize the Igbo dream of producing a president in Nigeria. The big question here is if Mr. Obi were to be the 2023 presidential candidate of APGA, would he have had the political support of Governor Soludo? Despite his veiled anger against Mr. Obi, the governor still expressed his readiness to welcome the LP candidate into the APGA after the presidential elections, possibly as the only condition for him to forgive the sins of the LP candidate. Mr. Soludo also appears infuriated with the LP being referred as the party for the realization of the Igbo project since Mr. Obi emerged as its candidate. APGA has long carried the tag as Igbo party since the days of Mr. Ojukwu, who was the presidential candidate of the party in 2003 and 2007. The governor described as ridiculous the suggestion by some Igbos that APGA's candidate should step down for Mr. Obi as the Igbo candidate. Mr. Soludo said it is impossible for an Igbo to become Nigeria's president until the Southeast negotiates with other regions. The governor is of the opinion that given that politics is a game of numbers, the best strategy would be to build alliances with other regions and political parties. For him, the Apex Igbo Socio-Cultural Organization, Ohanense Indigbo, and other Igbo leaders should preemptively start charting a pragmatic future for Indigbo in Nigeria after the elections. Subscribe, like, share, comment, and please turn the notification bell on. Thank you. Another important takeaway from the diatribe is that, like a horde of bees, Mr. Obi's army of supporters appears unrelenting in calling out those who criticize the LP candidates. Several Nigerians have complained about the intolerant attitude of Mr. Obi's supporters. Mr. Soludo said a statement followed the attacks from Mr. Obi's supporters after he said the investments made by Mr. Obi as governor of Anambra was worth next to nothing. Mr. Obi has repeatedly cautioned the supporters to not attack his opponents, but the attacks have persisted. Mr. Soludo expressed his worry that Indigbo, as Nigeria's foremost itinerant tribe and with the greatest stake in the Nigerian project, does not yet have a strategy to engage Nigeria politically. He believes that the frequent clamor for Igbo presidency fizzles away due to a lack of strategy and organization on the part of Indigbo. The governor stressed that while Indigbo continue to fight themselves over who gets the region's nod for presidency, other regions work daily strategizing and organizing themselves to take over the country's leadership. Having ruled out the possibility of Mr. Obi's victory at the poll, Mr. Soludo called on Igbo leaders to approach two other presidential candidates who are likely to win the presidency in 2023 in order to bargain for the future of the region. Although he did not mention the candidates, observers say the governor must have been referring to the PDP candidate, Mr. Atiku, and his APC counterpart, Mr. Tinubu, who are the other two major contenders in the election. That's the news, guys. Bye.